This is a response to ContraPoints. Your video, Evopsych does not and cannot justify rape. What you seem to be arguing there is that people who raise issues to do with evolutionary psychological accounts of the origins of rape are misguided, because you can't take an is from a nought. It's a version of the naturalist fallacy, in which even if it was demonstrated absolutely that there are evolutionary psychological accounts of that and origins for that, and there isn't good evidence for that, as I'm sure you're aware, even if it was the case, then that wouldn't matter in a sense, you seem to be saying, because we can't draw our morality from our history, particularly our animal history. No one's disputing that, but it's not really about morality, is it? Or it's not directly about morality. And I suppose I'm saying this because it relates to a video you did recently on free will and morality. Does determinism throw moral responsibility out of the window? The same kind of thing applies here, I suspect, because morality is often about the resistance of desire and the resistance to temptation. That's a lot of our morality seems to be couched in that. We have a desire to do something, and our morality kicks in and prevents us doing that. We want to own this object, and we would like to just take it home with us, but our morality says no, it doesn't belong to us, so we'll leave it be, and so on. So a lot of morality is about the resistance of desires. But we recognise that those desires exist, and sometimes those desires are used as mitigating circumstances to understand people, to understand, to justify, not exactly justify, but to mitigate when people do commit crimes or do carry out immoral acts of one sort or other. We understand the person, for example, who has such a desire to stay alive that they kill someone in self-defence. We don't even think of that as an immoral act. Our understanding of the desire for survival is so great that we completely justify self-defence as a mitigating circumstance for the killing of another person. Similarly, if my desire to eat is so overwhelming, if I'm in the point of starvation, my desire for food is so strong that I steal from a store because that's the only way I can access food, it's quite likely that my desire would be taken into account and mitigate the fact that I have done something illegal and perhaps possibly immoral. And that is particularly the case with desires which are naturalized. If we have a desire which is seen as natural, a natural part of the human condition, part of the human condition for millennia or for longer, then it's easier to use it as a justification or as a mitigation. So the danger there with evolutionary psychological accounts of rape, which isn't to say that it shouldn't be fostered as an idea or thought about as an idea, but the dangers with that is that if it was naturalized, if it became common opinion, because the evolutionary psychological accounts can't be factually demonstrated, as you know, but if it became common as an opinion, then I'm sure we would start seeing it surfacing in criminal cases, not to say that the crime wasn't committed or that the act wasn't immoral, but just that this person has been so overwhelmed by this natural occurring desire that they should be the subject of mitigation. I think that's the case. I did leave a comment actually to do with the famous Twinkie plea, where Dan White, I think he was called, who killed George Moscone and Harvey Milk, he received a very light sentence because he was suffering from depression, brought on by a change in his diet. That was the claim. And he'd gone from being a very healthy person to a person who had lots of sweet, sugary foods, amongst other things, including Twinkies. And that defence was accepted, and he received a very light sentence for two very brutal murders. If there wasn't any evolutionary psychology around at the time, but if there had been, I don't think it would have been too surprising if an Evopsych expert would have been brought in to talk about the evolutionary roots of our desire for sweet, sugary food, and how, of course, it would have been natural for Dan White to desire sweet, sugary foods. And as a consequence of that desire, that understandable desire, that desire which overwhelmed his natural resistance and overwhelmed his moral resistance to those things, that desire led to his change of diet, his depression, and ultimately his murdering of Harvey Milk and George Moscone. So yeah, that's that really. I don't think it's about morality being threatened. I think it's about possible mitigation of acts which overwhelm that morality. Thanks.